HealthWise. I'll be your host tonight. I'm Dr. Patrice Lawrence, and we have quite an interesting show for you this evening. We'll be examining a dental topic this week, the importance of early childhood dental health. This evening, we have with us Dr. Therese Rollins, who is a dentist at City. Expecting to see Dr. Randy Liebert this evening as well tonight, but he's a bit under the weather, and he sends his apologies. He'll be missed this evening. But in this evening's show, we'll be speaking a little bit about childhood dental health and dental decay and how we can prevent it. For this format on our show, we'll also have a section where we discuss a medical personality of the night, Dr. Carice Manchester, and we'll also hear from the Director of Health Institutions, Dr. Jensen Morton, and he'll give us a little update on what's been happening at the JNF General Hospital. We'll take a quick break now, and we'll be back in a moment. Thank you for tuning in.
Smart Electronics, your one-stop shop for all your electronic needs. Unlock cell phones, tablets, laptop computers, Bluetooth speakers, TVs, mobile accessories, memory cards, USB drives. We carry all major brands. Now you don't have to go anywhere anymore. Everything's available under one roof. Smart Electronics at Port Sante opposite the food court. Telephone 466-4271. Visit our website at dutyfreesmartelectronics.com. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to HealthWise. This evening, we'll be discussing childhood dental health with Dr. Therese Rollins. She's been a dentist in the Federation for the past 18 years, and she will be discussing with us a little bit about early childhood dental health in younger children and childhood decay in that age and how we can prevent it. Dr. Therese Rollins?
Knowledge about early childhood dental decay. And early childhood dental decay, or sometimes it's called early childhood caries, sometimes there are other names, could be called bottle rot. And so this is basically the one or more missing, filled or decayed teeth in the primary teeth in children 5 years or younger. So primary teeth, we all know, is also called what we now know as milk teeth or baby teeth. So it's specific. This condition is specific to baby teeth, primary teeth, and in children 5 years or younger.
Okay, Dr. Rollins. So we'll discuss a little bit about baby bottle tooth decay, as you said, or baby bottle caries. It's known as a lot of different things. I'm sure we've all seen this in young children when those teeth are a bit eroded, in the babies, in the 2-year-olds, in these baby teeth. Yes. So can you tell me a little bit about where in the mouth it happens and why?
Yes, most times we see it usually in the front teeth, or what we call the incisors, the front teeth, mainly at the top. But also, I think that in the advanced stages of it, we see it in the back teeth, top and bottom. And, you know, the prevalence of this disease is quite frequent in our federation, in what we've seen. We see it daily. We see it every day in some form or fashion, some form or other. And we realize that it is caused when children are allowed to, mainly infants, are allowed to fall asleep with the baby bottle or the breast in their mouths usually at night time. And what happens is that the sugars that are contained in the milk, whether it be breast milk or baby formula, once a child falls asleep, it's allowed to stick onto the existing teeth that the children have, and then and of course if they fall asleep, they're not awakened to clean their mouth, and it's allowed to stick on the teeth, and once it sticks on the teeth, it begins to cause decay, what we call tooth decay. And of course, if it happens, continuously, you're going to continuously have this continuous breakdown in the teeth.
Okay, Dr. Rollins, if we could take a little look at slide 3, we'll have a little idea of what we're speaking about in terms of the appearance of baby bottom tooth decay. I see here that baby bottom tooth decay. As you can see here, we have some erosion of those teeth. Can you explain to us what we're seeing?
Yes. So if you look at the center of the photo that is shown, those are what we call the incisors. Those are usually what is the front teeth at the top. And what we see here, that those teeth at the top have been completely consumed with decay. The two at the center, and then the two on the sides just on the side of that also is starting. Usually when we see tooth decay, it starts in a white form. It starts in like a whitish color. Discoloration, it looks like a whitish discoloration of the teeth. And then of course if it's allowed to progress and gets worse, it turns brown and then can turn dark color. And then of course once it's black, the tooth is now weakened and can start to slough off, shell off and fall away. And that is what we see happening in this particular photo. On the bottom teeth, we realize that those bottom front teeth tend not to be as affected as much. And in that particular photo, those teeth seem to be okay for now. So that's what we're seeing here in this particular photo.
Okay, and as you mentioned before, you stated that the cause of the baby bottom tooth decay is the sugary fluid that's left around the mouth, and that a certain bacteria needs to be present for this to occur.
Yes, the presence of the bacteria called Streptococcus mutans. Usually it's associated with tooth decay in children as well as adults. And what we realized that, in the literature says that when a child is born, their mouth is sterile. So there's no bacteria present. And of course, as the child gets older and as it starts to interact with the mom, the dad, the children, potential caregivers, it's said that the Streptococcus mutans bacteria gets transferred or transmitted from those adults or other people to the child, I guess through kissing, through sharing of meals, sharing of food utensils, and eventually that particular bacteria gets into that child's mouth. So once the presence of the Streptococcus mutans is present, when you have that particular bacteria present, that along with the sugary fluids that left in the mouth from the drinking of the breast milk, the bottled milk, that mixed with the bacteria causes the bacteria uses that as it causes it to metabolize the sugars, and then therefore the byproduct of that is an acid, and the acid is what causes this severe breakdown in the teeth. And of course, if that little mouth is being subjected to that acid daily, nightly for months and months, therefore it wreaks havoc on their teeth.
So we can see that the cause of baby bottom caries or early childhood tooth decay is really an interaction of the feeding practices, the presence of that bacteria in the mouth, as well as an element of hygiene and a lack of awareness in the parents as well.
Yes.
So all of those things contribute to this prevalent problem that we're seeing so frequently in St. Kitts among our younger children.
Yes. And once we interact with the different parents and we see this happening and we identify that this is the cause of what we see, the child has. We do, try to correct the parents. Some of them would genuinely say that they had never heard of that before, they didn't know. And, we hope that education will help them to correct the process, and that they'll be encouraged to, cease from this particular practice. And that they would be encouraged also to clean the child's mouth as well.
So Dr. Rollins, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about why these baby teeth are so important. I know we have a tendency to believe in our country that these teeth are going to fall out anyway. So why is it so important to take care of these teeth that are temporary?
Well, that's a question we get daily, and parents often ask that question, and we say, well, there are reasons why we have baby teeth. For the beginning, the first reason I would say is eating. The child has to eat. Sometimes when we speak to parents and we have to explain, unfortunately, that particular tooth has to be taken out because of decay. They quickly say, take it out, and I say, well, what is he or she going to eat with? And they don't even think about it.
Yes, of course, you need your teeth to chew.
You need your teeth to chew, and you need to chew properly, and that's how we get our nutrition. Another purpose of our baby teeth is to speak, and it was just we just had Christmas last month, and there's this particular song, all I want for Christmas is my two front teeth, and there's some truth to that, because we use our teeth, our tongue presses on our front teeth to help us to pronounce words and speak properly. So
yes, a lot of these children with their missing front teeth,
they sound funny.
They sound funny. They can't pronounce their S's.
Yes, they do. Right,
and
right.
They have their little lisp. It's quite cute.
It's
but
cute,
it can have long-term effects as well.
Right, but it's cute when the teeth comes out on time. But when it's unfortunate that they have to lose it prematurely, then that is not that cute. So we need our teeth. It's very important for us to speak with. It's also good for what we call aesthetics, or positive self-image. That sometimes children can be cruel with each other on the playground, and they will speak their mind at times, and if they see something that they think is ugly, they will say. So we know children call each other names, so we don't want that child to be subjected unnecessarily to a name calling and ridicule,
yes.
Right? And especially, it could have long-term effects on their self-esteem. So that's another reason why we need our teeth at that age. And also, I think the most important reason is that the natural baby teeth, once they are our natural space maintainer, meaning that those baby teeth guide in the adult teeth when it's time for the adult teeth to come in.
That's a very interesting point, Dr. Rollins.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick commercial break at this time, and then when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about why baby teeth are so important and how to take care of them.
It's time that we realize that we must work together to thrive. The world as we know it, the sky and below it. Could I never have more wonder? Yeah, with life and all you see, and the climate's changing.
But hope is remaining.
That we can't ignore the future. It depends on you and me. One chance, all that we got. One voice, together we stand. Take care, the world where we live. Permite a todos vivir. Tomamos la oportunidad para guardar la humanidad. And I must leave no one behind because we are one climate, one Caribbean. One climate, one Caribbean.
Smart Electronics, your one-stop shop for all your electronic needs. Unlock cell phones, tablets, laptop computers, Bluetooth speakers, TVs, mobile accessories, memory cards, USB drives. We carry all major brands. Now you don't have to go anywhere anymore. Everything's available under one roof. Mont Electronics at Port Sante opposite the food court. Telephone 466-4271. Visit our website at dutyfreesmartelectronics.com. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Good night again, everyone, and welcome back to HealthWise. Tonight we're discussing the importance of early childhood dental health with our host, Dr. Therese Rollins. But before we continue our discussion, we were able to speak with a few people on the street about the importance of early childhood dental health. So we want to hear a little bit from the general public about early childhood teeth and why is it so important.
Keep the teeth healthy, prevent bad breath, encourage it will be like an encouragement for good hygiene.
Okay.
Okay. We as parents have to also follow up and make sure that our kids scrub their teeth. We don't just send them into the bathroom and tell them go and scrub their teeth, because children will go in the bathroom, walk check and come back out, pretend like they scrub their teeth and they haven't done it. So we as the parents have a role to play.
Then to visit the dentist, because sometimes children do have rotten teeth and at certain time the teeth might need cleaning. So taking them to the dentist to clean the teeth or pull the teeth is okay.
Sometimes even when you send your children, when you have them, send them in the bathroom to bathe, they will turn on the pipe for you to hear the water running. And when you feel like the bathe, if you go and check them, the skin like... You understand?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the scrubbing of the teeth. You have to make sure that you are there to see that they do it. Otherwise, are you yourself, do it for them.
Good night, everyone, again. That was quite interesting. As you can see, people have quite varied and passionate opinions about this topic. The importance of good hygiene, how to prevent bad breath, and especially making sure that your children brush their teeth thoroughly. We were discussing with Dr. Rollins about why these primary teeth are so important. We touched a little bit about nutrition and how children need to chew. But there's something else that we had not mentioned, Dr. Rollins, about how these early childhood decay can be quite painful for children. So that's another reason why they might not want to chew. Is that correct?
Yes, right. So if they're in pain, that would disturb anybody's peace. If you're in pain, you're not at peace, so you're not able to eat properly, you're not able to think properly. It disturbs, their concentration in school. Sometimes parents have to go and rescue their children from school because they are crying out in pain. So to avoid all of this, we emphasize that good oral hygiene is very important to promote good overall healthy lifestyles and a peaceful lifestyle as well.
And we had started discussing a little bit about how these baby bottle caries or this early childhood teeth decay can affect the permanent teeth. So yes, these are baby teeth that will come out eventually, but it does have permanent effect on the adult teeth as well. Is that correct? You said it maintains space?
Yes. One of the main reasons for baby teeth is that they hold the space for the adult teeth to come in. They guide it, almost like when you look at the airport and those persons who guide the planes into park. Similarly, the baby teeth act as that guide into the space in the mouth, because each tooth has a specific location in the mouth.
Okay, I see.
So the baby teeth are the predecessors to another set of teeth, which we call adult teeth or the permanent teeth. So once the presence of the baby teeth are there, once it naturally falls out, naturally gets shaky, naturally falls out, then the next step would be for the permanent teeth to come into their allotted space, with the allotted space between each other, and that is the purpose of the baby teeth. They guide the adult teeth in.
So then when we have these baby teeth that are affected by decay and they have to be removed and so on, that will then affect the spacing of the adult teeth. So what are some of the issues you can see as a result of that? You have a lot of crowding and so on?
Yes, we realize that if the teeth are prematurely removed for whatever reason or other, then the space that is there, if the space is not maintained by an appliance, the space that the two teeth on either side are going to start to shift into that available space. And so when the adult tooth is ready to come in, especially if it's many years before the adult tooth would come in, your tendency to have their loss of space on either side of the tooth. And then sometimes, even though the tooth, it's the time for it to come in, it's going to push in, erupt into the mouth, and it's going to push into the mouth at whatever cost. And it's going to come in either malpositioned in front or behind, not in its specific position. And then you have what we call crowding, as you mentioned, crowding, the ill positioning of the new tooth that it comes in. Sometimes people refer to it as having a double row.
Oh, right.
Sometimes
persons and the shark teeth.
Yes, sometimes persons refer to it that way. And unfortunately, most times it's caused where there was not enough space. The space was not maintained by the specific primary tooth that was assigned to that space.
And then these children will end up with braces.
Yes, that is a corrective measure. The braces usually would be a corrective measure for that condition. But then that is if they have the opportunity or the ability to be able to get the braces. And then sometimes persons don't get it, and then they end up having that as a lifelong. That the smile is compromised at a lifelong
for the rest of
their lives. And it started to be it realizing that it all started as an infant. And sometimes I tell parents that this condition, it might start as an infant, but sometimes the effects are lifelong.
Yes, quite so, Dr. Rollins. So we can all see how important it is to take care of these baby teeth. But how can we now think about preventing these cavities from happening in the baby teeth so that we can prolong the healthy teeth that they have?
Yes, so we usually, as dentists, we encourage proper brushing practices, proper brushing timing as well. We encourage you brush 2-3 times a day. We encourage also that you should change your toothbrush every 3 months, because after a while the bristles are not going to be as effective anymore. So we usually encourage you to change it every 3 months so that you can have a maximum height of the bristle, and it's doing its job. We encourage flossing. So all of these are home management practices that we encourage persons to do at home. You have to do your part at home, the brushing, the flossing, and then we also encourage that you see your dental professional every 6 months for a professional cleaning, because not all the plaque or the hardened plaque will be removed by your toothbrush. So you encourage to see dental professional every 6 months to get at those areas where you can't reach, or even to remove the hardened plaque that the toothbrush cannot remove.
Well, these tips all sound very good for adults as well. I think those are all things that we should be doing. But specifically in children, it's true that the nutrition of the mother in pregnancy will affect the health of the teeth. Is that correct? As well as the choice to breastfeed or not breastfeed, that can affect the jaw spacing and the strength of the jaw as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how prenatal care and breastfeeding can affect the health of the baby teeth?
Yes, so the teeth develop while in utero, I should put it that way. So the teeth develop while the baby is being made, and we encourage the mom that while she is pregnant at the time, she must, try and access as much healthy food as possible, because this could eventually affect. It could affect the birth weight of the baby, and it could also affect eventually the teeth that are developing. So we also encourage that, but also too, while the mom is pregnant, we also encourage that she is educated as well about how to take care of the baby's teeth, the upcoming baby's teeth, because as we had mentioned before about the poor feeding practices. So maybe she may not be aware of it, or know about proper feeding practices. So we also encourage that they too are told by our public health colleagues, the ones who do the prenatal care. We encourage that they too share knowledge about proper feeding practices to the new mom as she's pregnant.
Yes, I think if most mothers were aware of that, they would definitely take more steps to ensure that their children don't suffer with this issue that is so common in our society. And we spoke about the dental exam. Can you tell us when it is appropriate for a child to begin going to the dentist?
Well, when I was a student, we were taught the first dental visit should be right after the first birthday. So that's a textbook explanation. But as I got into practice, I realized that 1-year-olds will not sit still in your chair. So that is when you realize that experience is the greater teacher. And so I usually say, usually maybe like age 3, we would encourage them at that age, when they get their first tooth. We would encourage the parents. Parents can bring the child to the dentist for an exam, for us to see, make sure everything is going right, make sure all the teeth are coming in at the right age. And then as they get older, as they keep coming, they would realize that there is nothing to fear about coming to the dentist. So then hopefully by age 3, they would come, with less trepidation and, be more cooperative to have a more upgraded dental treatment, like a cleaning.
Yes, I can see how that would be very helpful. I mean, there are so many adults who are terrified of the dentist. I wonder how many of those started in childhood. So I can see how a positive experience early in life would be helpful in setting up habits that are lifelong. But how if the first dental visit will be around 3 or, around 1, so what can mothers do or even fathers do in order to ensure proper hygiene in their children? So let's start with a baby. How do you clean a baby's mouth? How is that done?
Well, we would encourage the parents to use a rag, a moist rag, moistened with water, and you would wipe out the baby's mouth after meals. As the child gets older, I don't know if there's something called a finger brush. You've seen those? It slips right onto the finger, and it has little tiny bristles. So as the teeth come in, you encourage them to upgrade to that finger brush. And as more teeth come in, then you get a baby toothbrush. They have a softer bristle, and then you start using the baby toothbrush with a rice grain size amount of toothpaste. So you don't want to overpower the child with too much toothpaste at that age.
And what age is that?
I would say between 0 and 1.
Okay, I see.
You upgrade. You moderate. You use modest size amount of toothpaste on the brush, because you don't want to overwhelm the child with toothpaste.
Let's stick a pin right there, Dr. Rollins. We're gonna take another quick commercial break, and then we'll be back discussing how to look after your baby's teeth.
Smart Electronics, your one-stop shop for all your electronic needs. unlock cell phones, tablets, laptop computers, Bluetooth speakers, TVs, mobile accessories, memory cards, USB drives. We carry all major brands. Now you don't have to go anywhere anymore. Everything's available under one roof. Mort Electronics at Port Sante opposite the food court. Telephone 466-4271. Visit our website at dutyfreesmartelectronics.com. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Good night and welcome back to HealthWise. We're here discussing early childhood dental health with my guest, Dr. Therese Rollins, a dentist in the Federation for the past 18 years. And she was giving us some vital information in terms of how to keep a baby's mouth clean. So when those teeth come out, you have your rag first, and then we have our finger brushes.
Yes.
And then when they start having actual teeth, we're talking about a soft bristled toothbrush.
Yes.
With a pea-size amount of fluoride toothpaste?
In the beginning, it's a rice grain size.
Yes.
Rice grain size amount of fluoride toothpaste. The fluoride is important, but you have to give it in in minimal amounts. It's the idea of it's supposed to prevent cavities, but you don't want to overwhelm the child with too much. Sometimes people the whole wad of toothpaste.
And at that age, they're swallowing the toothpaste.
Yes.
We can't ask a child that age to spit.
Right. So we give it very moderate amount of toothpaste. I would say a rice grain amount, and I think that rice grain amount can last until maybe age 2. At that time.
And then at age 2, when they have a bit more teeth in their mouth.
A little bit more toothpaste.
Not much more toothpaste.
Not much more dab.
And we're still at a child-sized, soft bristled toothbrush at that age. How often should parents be brushing?
Brushing the child's teeth?
Yes.
Well, everybody in the household should be brushing 2 to 3 times a day. Most times persons say that they can't get that lunchtime brush in, which I can understand because you might be at work, you might be busy. But it's very important to do it in the morning before you go to work, before you go to school, but also much more important to do it at the end of the day, at the end of the night, at the end of the evening when you know you have already eaten your supper, dinner, and you're about to retire to bed. So it's very important to make sure you brush and floss.
So going to bed with clean teeth is very important in preventing cavities.
Yes,
because overnight those sugars ferment and turn into that and feed those bacteria that we were discussing a little earlier.
And also too, when you were sleeping, the saliva does not flow as fast as when we're up and awake and about. So the saliva provides as a natural wash of the mouth. So if it's not flowing as heavily, you're going to have bacteria accumulating and multiplying more. So.
But Dr. Rollins, I think a lot of mothers struggle with how do we get these children to behave to brush their teeth? And how do we ensure that they're actually properly brushing?
Well, sometimes parents say that the child wants to do it themselves. And that's fine. You want to encourage independence at certain ages. But then you as a parent too have to make sure that you come behind and reinforce what the child is doing to make sure that the mouth is brushed properly.
So that supervision and that reinforcement.
Yes.
So we can't just say go and brush your teeth. I've learned that with my children. You have to actually look at what they're doing and ensure that it's properly done.
Properly done, yes.
At what age would a child be old enough to be trusted to brush their teeth?
I think it depends on the individual child, the maturity of the child. Once you realize that if you give them the autonomy to brush their teeth alone and you realize, okay, he or she is doing a good job, I think at that point you can realize, okay, now I can leave them alone to do it on their own. They're mature enough, they get it done properly.
Okay, wonderful. Is there any other practices that are important in order to ensure good oral hygiene in our kids?
Well, flossing. I'm a big proponent of flossing. I can't stress flossing enough. It's so important, especially when the things that we see daily. I would say a lot of the cavities that we see have occurred because food particles remain in between the teeth. And that's, you know, if they were flossing, you know, it would help to remove, dislodge those food particles that remain in between. Because once they remain in between, you know, it's going to start to the same thing that we discussed earlier. The bacteria is going to multiply, and start to produce the heavy acid, and it starts to cause tooth decay, tooth breakdown of the tooth.
Right, because those toothbrushes can't actually reach in between
No,
your
they
teeth.
can't in between, so that's
So
why
we're only
flossing
cleaning
is
the
very
front
important.
and the back of the teeth. We still
Right.
need to do between
In
the
between,
individual
yes,
teeth.
we still need to do in between.
So those sides get cavities.
Yes, they're very susceptible to cavities. You've got such a tight space sometimes, and it's easy for food to lodge, get stuck between there and cause damage.
And flossing will help to prevent that. Do you floss before or after you brush, Dr. Rollins?
You floss before you brush.
Okay, wonderful. What are your thoughts on mouthwash, especially in the children?
I think mouthwash, they taste good, and when you use them, you feel good afterwards. In young children, like you mentioned earlier about being able to spit, I think you have to, with moderation, at what age you allow your child to start using a mouthwash. I think once you realize that they can manage spitting on their own, and they get the concept of it, that they don't drink it, that they understand the concept of just, rinsing out and spitting completely out, you can, give them a little bit of mouthwash. But your mouthwash is not necessary. It just tastes good. It just tastes good, and it makes you feel good.
I have seen quite a few mouthwashes geared to children that actually contain fluoride.
Well, I think that is the presence of the fluoride, as I mentioned earlier, is to help to prevent cavities. So they probably manufacture it so that children can get extra fluoride.
But I would say mouthwash is not a replacement for brushing your teeth
No,
with
it is definitely
fluoride
not.
toothpaste.
It is definitely not. You don't have to use a mouthwash, but you should brush. You must brush.
You must brush, and you must floss.
You must brush, you must
flossing
floss.
once a day or twice a day, doctor?
Yes, you floss once daily. You could floss once daily, especially in the evenings, yes. Especially in the evenings, like we mentioned before. You floss, then you brush, and then you go to bed.
And how often are we replacing our toothbrushes? Some of us have toothbrushes for years without replacing them. And I'm not exaggerating. This is what I've seen. So what are your thoughts on replacing toothbrushes?
Yes, we replace our toothbrushes every 3 months, because remember, the bristles might not be as tall or sharp once we're using them daily. If we are brushing twice a day, the bristles are going to get damaged, they're going to get broken. Just like when you have a broom, after a while the bristles on the broom get shortened and damaged, so you have to replace the broom. So similarly, the toothbrush, you replace your toothbrush every 3 months. And you use a soft brush, might I add that, as well as when I'm here on this platform. Please use a soft brush. A hard brush is too hard, it's too harsh, it's not good.
It damages the gums.
It damages the gums.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Rollins. At this time, we want to hear a little bit from our Director of Health Institutions, Dr. Jensen Morton. He's going to update us on the JNF General Hospital and some new equipment that they've received to improve service to the public. We'll be back with you in a minute.
I'm Dr. Jensen Morton. I'm the Director of Health Institutions here for St. Kitts and Nevis. And today we are at the JNF General Hospital in the Radiology Department to take a look at some of the work that is actively being done. So today we're going to look at a futuristic piece of equipment that's being installed by a company from Trinidad, Biomedical Enterprises, and it's a fluoroscopy machine. Now, a fluoroscopy machine is a special radiological tool used to do specific x-rays that can actually help us to see how the stomach and the intestines work, amongst other things with regards to specialties. It will help to upgrade the services that we offer at JNF General Hospital, and it will improve our diagnostics and our abilities to serve you, the general public, better. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, you might see a little bit of extra activity going on in the hallway in the radiology department. Apart from the fact that we are making some upgrades to the foyer, some of it also is due to this new piece of machinery that is being installed. We'd like to let the general public know that the normal functions of the hospital, they still continue, and that the extra services, they've just been shifted to another room in the department whilst we upgrade to serve you better. So that's what's going on in JNF this time.
Smart Electronics, your one-stop shop for all your electronic needs. Unlock cell phones, tablets, laptop computers, Bluetooth speakers, TVs, mobile accessories, memory cards, USB drives. We carry all major brands. Now you don't have to go anywhere anymore. Everything's available under one roof. Mort Electronics at Port Sante opposite the food court. Telephone 466-4271. Visit our website at dutyfreesmartelectronics.com. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
It's time that we realize that we must work together to thrive. The world as we know it, the sky and below it. Could I never have more wonder? Yeah, with life and all you see and the climate's changing.
But hope is remaining.
And we can't ignore the future. It depends on you and me. One chance, all that we got. One voice, together we stand. Take care, the world where we live. Permite a todos vivir. Tomamos la oportunidad para guardar la humanidad. And I must leave no one behind because we are one climate, one Caribbean. One climate, one Caribbean.
Good night, everyone, and welcome back to HealthWise. Tonight we're discussing early childhood dental health with Dr. Therese Rollins. She's been a dentist in the Federation for the past 18 years, and she's been giving us some quite important and interesting information about how to prevent cavities in our children and why is it so important to do so. We discussed a little bit about brushing and flossing and why that is so important, and we mentioned you can have buildup on the teeth over time. So those dental visits are when that buildup is removed. Can you tell us why it's so important to visit the dentist regularly?
Yes, the buildup sometimes can accumulate. The plaque hardens, and sometimes it forms an accumulation.
So the plaque is the film that's left behind on the teeth at times.
Yes, sometimes people see it. When it's not hard, it's like colorless. But once it's hardens, it tends to be like a yellowish color.
And you see it accumulating around the gum line.
Yes, sometimes you see it accumulating on the gum line, and in some of the areas, the prevalent areas where you see it, it's on the back of the lower front teeth. Those are that area, and also the top. By the cheeks. Those are the areas where the salivary gland opening and the saliva exits. They tend to be thicker in that area. So once the plaque is mixed with that, it settles on the teeth and gets hard.
Okay.
So it's very important to see your dental professional to have those removed. Some persons build up more frequently than others. So it's very important to go to see a dental professional every 6 months to have that removed. If it stays there, it's a house for bacteria to stay. And if it stays on the gums, stays on the teeth, the bacteria multiply. And once they multiply, they travel beneath the gums, and they cause more multiplication there. And once they travel beneath the gums, they start to they produce chemicals that affect the bone, the jawbone. They start to affect the jawbone, and then the bone starts to break down, and the bone that holds the teeth in place starts to break down, and then once it starts to break down, teeth start to get shaky.
Oh, I see.
And once teeth start to get shaky, then you can't build back bone.
So this plaque is really one of the first signs you can tell of impending dental decay.
Well, no, not dental decay, more of gum disease.
Ah, I see.
That's how the whole gum disease cascade of events begins.
And the bacteria live in this plaque as well.
Yeah.
So visiting the dentist every month, a cleaning is one of those.
Every 6 months. Every 6 months. A cleaning, helps to.
Cleaning is one of those things that they will do.
To help to prevent gum disease and ultimately tooth loss.
What else can people expect at a dentist visit? I mean, do we have examinations? We have x-rays. I know a lot of people are afraid to go to the dentist. So help the general public be a little bit less afraid. What do you expect when you go to the dentist every 6 months?
Yeah, we encourage persons to see the dentist every 6 months. We do a general exam of the teeth and the gums. We check for presence of cavities. We check for same plaque that I just mentioned, or hardened plaque. We also, if there's a reason, sometimes we have to take x-rays because you might be in doubt about an area that looks suspicious, that might be a cavity. So you take an x-ray just to see, to rule out if that's a developing cavity that's happening. And then after that we'll do the cleaning. The cleaning, as we mentioned, is to remove the hardened plaque, remove soft plaque, remove debris, remove food particles from between those tight spaces between the teeth.
Okay. So that doesn't sound scary at all, Dr. Rollins. So we can see that visiting the dentist is nothing to be terrified about. And if you go regularly, then the dentist can catch problems earlier.
Yes.
And
make it less
prevent
scary.
some of those issues that we can have later on.
Yes.
So it's very important to visit the dentist regularly. Is there anything you'd like to add about that? So our topic for tonight is early childhood dental decay. So how would that be different for children? And when these children do develop the dental decay, what is it that the dentist will do to help that child?
Well, once we identify that there's dental decay happening, we inform the parents and we tell the parents that, this tooth, it depends on the age of the child too. If the child is really young, if the child is under 5, under 4, under 5, we will encourage the parent that this tooth, if it's early enough, this tooth can be saved, this tooth can be filled. Because if the child is 4 years old and it's a back tooth that has decay, and we recognize that it can be saved, it can be filled, we encourage the parents to fill it, because then that tooth will not get shaky and fall out till they're maybe 8 or 9. So they would need that tooth to eat on, as we mentioned earlier.
Yes, they're chewing on the back teeth.
Have that teeth to chew on, to eat on. So it allows the child to maintain or retain that tooth longer until when the time comes for that tooth to fall out. So we really encourage, as long as the tooth can be filled, we really, really encourage parents to save it. Sometimes parents say, well, I don't believe in filling. They say
baby
that.
teeth.
Yes. Sometimes they tell us that, but we tell them, no, this is not the way. This is best for your child. That trying to save this tooth, trying to retain the tooth as long as possible.
So we can do fillings on some of these teeth that are affected. Are there any cases where the decay is so advanced that you're unable to fill? In that case, what would be done?
Yes, sometimes the child has pain, swelling. If the tooth is swollen, at that point we know that the tooth is no longer a viable tooth anymore. And at that point, unfortunately, we would have to have the tooth removed or remove the tooth.
So how are you able to remove teeth in children? I can't imagine them behaving in the dentist's chair.
Well, that sometimes is quite of a challenge.
Ah, I see.
Yes, it's an event, quite a challenge actually, and we encourage parents. Sometimes I tell parents, bring reinforcements, bring one-on-one person with you to help us to hold the child or restrain the child.
In order to proceed with the treatment.
Yes. Some behave, some don't, but we have to try. And at the end of the day, it is to help the child.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't want to have to reach the point where you have to remove a tooth. But if sometimes that is the case, we have to do it.
So prevention is key here. The more we
Yes.
can continue practicing those hygiene practices that we discussed earlier, the brushing, the flossing,
Yes.
the regular dental visits, the more we can prevent this issue, because I'm sure none of us want to see our children in the dentist chair
For that
unhappy
reason,
and
yes,
suffering.
and crying and
and
so
crying.
on, right.
And I know as adults, we've all had toothaches, and I know none of us would wish to have that inflicted on our children.
No, we would not. So it's best to, as you know, the old adage, prevention is better than cure.
Yes, very much
So
so.
in terms of the prevention, as we mentioned earlier, the brushing, the flossing, you know, you control what you eat, not too much sugary items. So you're not too much sugary items, so, and therefore you should be okay.
And that is something that we need to remember as adults as well. But at this time, we want to introduce our personality spotlight of the week, who is Dr. Carice Manchester, obstetrician gynecologist that we have. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Dr. Carice Manchester is an obstetrician and gynecologist at the Josephine France Hospital and at Manchester Medical in the Science Complex in Bastille. Dr. Manchester is from Bird Rock and left home at the age of 17 to pursue her medical education at the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, Canada, then completed her studies at the University of the West Indies Mono Campus, Jamaica. She then went on to complete her residency in obstetrics and gynecology, practicing at both the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and the University Hospital of the West Indies in Jamaica. Dr. Manchester has particular interest in maternal fetal medicine. Outside of her career as an OBGYN, Dr. Manchester is also a full-time mom.
It's time that we realize that we must work together to thrive. The world as we know it, the sky and below it. Could I never have more wonder? Yeah, with life and all you see and the climate's changing.
But hope is remaining.
That we can't ignore the future. It depends on you and me. One chance, all that we got. One voice, together we start. Take care, the world where we live. Permite a todos vivir. Tomamos la oportunidad para guardar la humanidad. And I must leave no one behind because we are one climate, one Caribbean. One climate, one Caribbean.
Good night, everyone, and welcome back to HealthWise. I'm your host for this evening, Dr. Patrice Lawrence. And tonight we have with us Dr. Therese Rollins, a dentist in the Federation, and we're discussing early childhood dental decay. Now, before the break, we touched very briefly on sugar in the diet. How is it that sweets contribute to this issue, Dr. Rollins?
Right, so as we mentioned earlier about the presence of the particular bacteria, the Streptococcus mutans, that is associated with dental decay. So the presence of sweets or, excessive amounts of carbohydrates, if it's allowed to retain in the mouth or stay in the mouth, the bacteria will process it, will metabolize it, and break it down and produce an acid. The acid in turn, in the presence of an acidic mouth, will cause decay if it's not neutralized by either brushing or washing out of the mouth with water. So decay will ensue if the mouth retains acid. And I think also acid, having an acidic mouth on a daily basis, on a regular basis, hour after hour, is only going to cause constant decay.
Now, if we could take a look at slide 5, we can see some of what we just discussed. So we spoke about the sugar and the acid, and both of these contributing to the tooth decay. So that makes things like juice and soda particularly problematic.
Yes, we find that some sodas are very acidic on a whole. And the sad part is that some persons that they drink that, daily, constantly, at all times. We encourage you to drink a lot of water as well, because the water is good for your body. It helps to neutralize the acid in the mouth. And the sodas also has a lot of sugar in it. So the soda is almost like a double-barreled gun. It's acidic and it's very sugary. And so it doesn't definitely promotes, if not, taken moderately, it would cause heavy tooth decay.
Does whole fruit have the same effect? And what about foods? Are there any foods that have a similar effect?
No, I think foods, the natural sugars, the unprocessed sugars, they're not as I would say lethal or potent as perhaps the more processed sugars. So, we do encourage, persons to eat more fruits, eat more natural sugars, fruits, less processed foods, less processed snacks, and eat more fruits, vegetables, that sort of thing. Drink lots of water is very important.
Now, if we could have a look at our final slide, we will see some of the good tips that Dr. Rollins has included for us today. We will brush and floss twice a day. We will see our dentist every 6 months. Eat a healthy diet, which is low in sugar. Use a fluoridated toothpaste and replace your toothbrush every 3 months. And all of these habits we will start in childhood, so that to help or prevent tooth decay in our children. And we will continue that throughout our life. All of these habits are good for adults too. Dr. Rollins, we're coming to the end of our program, but what else would you like for the general public to know?
Well, as you mentioned about habits, children mimic or copy what their parents do. So if children see their parents brushing their teeth, flossing their teeth, they too will want to mimic that or copy that. So we encourage that, because sometimes, it's sad though that sometimes you see a child's mouth and when you see the parents' mouth, you know why. There's always a correlation between how the child's mouth looks and how the parents' mouth look, both good and bad. So if we as parents or as adults, encourage good practices, the children will see the parents doing the same thing, and their children will want to do it. Remember, parents can only teach what they do.
And that is so important, and I think that's why this outreach is so important. So tell your family, tell your friends. We've all learned something new about taking care of our children's teeth and our adult teeth as well this evening. And I would like to thank you all for tuning in to another edition of HealthWise. I'm your host, Dr. Patrice Lawrence, with Dr. Rollins as guest. Thank you so much.